guys, firstly I need to say a huge thank you for watching my first video blog and for all your wonderful comments and feedback. I knew that there would be an audience for what I was talking about, and I loved hearing your stories, and I really want this to be like a two-way conversation, because I know that a lot of people talk about fertility and IVF struggles after the fact, when they actually have their baby in the end and they look back in retrospect and share their story then, and that's wonderful, but I don't think there are many people sharing it while they're in it, when they don't know whether they're going to have their happy ending. I mean, I don't know whether I'm going to have my baby in the end, but all I can do is talk about exactly how I'm feeling through each stage of the process, and yeah, and to share it with you guys. And I know that there is an audience for it, and I'm really grateful that you are coming along for the ride, so thank you. So just to bring you up to speed, last time we spoke, I think that it was just before I went in for my egg collection, so I was full of eggs. I had like 15 eggs. The collection went great. I had like 14 mature eggs, 11 of them fertilised, 9 were great on day 3, and then what I didn't realise was actually how quickly that they die off. So by day 5 we only had 3 really good quality blastocysts, which apparently is a very normal / good result. I didn't realise that. I thought that we would be kind of, you know, when you get 15 eggs you're like, okay, I'll bank 3 for later, and you know, but yeah, it doesn't happen like that. So, and then from those 3, we elected to have the PGD testing as well, which most people don't do. I mean, the stats from PGD testing is that up to 70% of the embryos will be abnormal. So we lost 1 embryo that had some abnormalities, which leaves us with 2 embryos. And unfortunately I couldn't put it back in on that cycle because my progesterone levels were too high, I think because of the stimulants that I had to generate the eggs. So basically where I am now is I had to wait for another cycle, and we're putting it in a natural cycle, which is totally fine. You know, I wish the process would be a bit more speedy, but it's fine because it's allowed me to feel normal again. I've had 3 months of stimulants and drugs in my body, and hormones, artificial hormones, and it just feels good to finally be getting back to myself, and which will put me in a good frame of mind, I think, for when we do the transfer, which will be in the next week or so. So what I wanted to talk about this video blog is ways that have helped me to cope when I'm going through this fertility process, which can be all-consuming, as you know, and these little tips and tricks will help you when you're dealing with any type of adversity, actually. I've applied it for different areas of my life and find that it's really helpful. And before I talk about the tips, I need to say that although in general I have much more positive and happy outlook on things, there are some days and there are some parts of good days where I don't cope, and you know that it really gets to me, and that still happens, and it's totally normal. I mean, this is a roller coaster of emotions. Just last week, I think we, you know, there are triggers. So last week on social media, which can be a bad thing as well as a good thing, obviously, I saw that the babies that were born the same time that my first baby that I lost was due all turned 1, and it was a trigger for me. I didn't realise that it would be, but I think the reason it was is because it just sheds light on how long this process has been for me. I mean, I lost the baby the same time these mothers made their announcements they were pregnant, and I watched a whole pregnancy, and I watched the whole first year of a baby's life, and they're having first birthday parties, and I'm still here. I'm still here. Phase 1, trying to get pregnant. I was just like, wow, this has been such a journey and such a bloody long time. So, you know, so there are triggers. There are always going to be triggers. You know, maybe it's people announcing that they're pregnant around you. I'm kind of okay with that now. I think I have to be when I'm in my line of work. But there, you know, there are triggers, and you might not know they're a trigger until they happen. But So what I'm trying to say is that this isn't foolproof and you're not going to be happy all the time. You know, it is a process and it is a roller coaster of emotions. But the first thing that I can recommend that you do is to talk about it. You have to talk about it. I'm such a believer that when you keep things in, they make you sick. You have to get it out. I found it so cathartic to write about my losses and my fertility. It just helped to get everything kind of out of the system, and obviously doing this as well, talking about it to you guys. I have a couple of people in my life that I feel like I can talk about it to. Most people it's just surface level, to tell you the truth, because a lot of them don't want to hear about it. And it's fine, it's not relevant to them and they don't understand, you know, unless you've been through it, you don't really understand how devastating it can be and how all-consuming it can be. So pick the right person to talk to is my second piece of advice for that one. It's probably not going to be your partner. Men handle things totally differently to women. I know my hubby, God love him, there's a lot of internal eye rolls there when I'm just yabbering on about things, but that's just like a man and a woman type of issue, I think. So yes, talk about it, number one. Number two is to meditate. Meditation has totally changed my life, 1000%. After I had my first loss, I got contacted by a friend of mine who's a Vedic meditation teacher. She runs the Broad Place, which is in Sydney, so look it up if you're in Sydney. And she texted me after I shared my loss and she said, look, I would love to host you for a Vedic meditation training week. And I went along and I didn't really know what to expect. I thought, there's no way I'm going to be able to quieten my mind. I'm that person that's like, no, 100 miles an hour. But I went and I learned and I've never looked back. It's been fantastic. It doesn't have to be Vedic meditation. It can be any type of meditation or taking any type of time out every day. You have to do it every day for it to work. With Vedic, you're meant to do it 20 minutes twice a day. I only really do it once a day, unless I'm kind of going through something or in the lead up to something that's quite big. I'll do it twice a day, which really does kind of take it to the next level. But I don't know how it works or why it works. There is science behind it, but it just works and it's so easy to do. And it doesn't matter if you've got that monkey mind. I often sit there and I'm just like, okay, I've got to pick up Archie, I've got to order chicken, I've got to go to the dentist, you know, I've got these things going through my mind throughout my meditation. I'm like, how can that work? It just does. It just makes you calm and grounded for the rest of your life, like in the rest of your day-to-day activities. It just, I can't even explain it, but it's definitely something that you should try. So the third thing is kind of an extension of meditation, is to practice gratitude. When I first went through my loss, what I did every night was, before I went to sleep, I would write down 3 things that I was grateful for that in that day. I mean, there could be big things like health, I have a beautiful son, I can afford to do IVF, you know, all the little things in life, but I can guarantee everybody has things in their life to be grateful for. And when you start being grateful for things, it really takes you into the present. And you don't forward think about things that you can't control, you don't have any control over. You just kind of, it centers you and it grounds you, and it's like, wow, you know, no, life is good. Life right now is good, you know. And if you just concentrate on life right now, you can't worry about, oh, when I have a baby this is going to happen, or when I get a new car that's going to happen, because there's no guarantees in anybody's life. Life is happening right now, so we need to make our best life possible right in this moment. And the easiest way to do that is just to look around and think, wow, I'm so grateful that, you know, for me, I can work from home, there's a million things that I'm grateful for. And I think that when you practice gratitude, there is no room for anxiety and stress. And all of us have something to be grateful for. And the last thing that I recommend, well actually the last 2 things I recommend, is to exercise, whether that be yoga or a high impact or going for a walk. Aim for 3 to 4 times a week. I know everybody says it, but it really does help. It just helps you mentally because it takes your mind out of that worry cycle, and also physically preps your body to have, you know, to be healthy, to have a baby. And it's kind of doing something proactive for when you do fall pregnant. And take a really great supplement or supplements. I mean, get a good naturopath. I take a lot of fish oils, things that are good for my brain function and my anxiety levels, all natural things that kind of keep me in check. So yes, I would definitely recommend supplements. So they're my tips for how I cope with going through the process. I'd love to hear any tips from you guys, that, you know, things that help you get through the process. I've had a couple of questions that I'd like to answer from my last video blog. The first question was, do I regret not starting for number 2 earlier? Well, I don't, and I'll tell you why. So we didn't decide to start for number 2 until Archie was 3. Now, I breastfed Archie till he was 2.5, so I didn't get my period back until he was 2.5. So there was no option for me, and I would never take that breastfeeding experience back. We breastfed until he was ready to wean, kind of ready to wean. I was a bit more ready. And the next question was, how do I not think about getting pregnant when I'm having a break? Well, for me, the breaks that I've had have been forced. I got sick with dengue fever and salmonella, and we weren't able to try for 4 months. So that was so frustrating for me. It was so frustrating. But how I kind of coped was, I thought, well, I'm going to get myself into the healthiest place possible so my body is ready to carry a baby. So I just focused on my fitness and my meditation. I threw myself into work, I think, finding another focus. I exercised more. So I'd recommend doing a hobby. Just do something to keep yourself busy. Keep yourself busy. I mean, it's still going to be at the back of your mind, but if you keep yourself busy and you do things that are proactive for when you are ready to try again, I think that's probably the best thing to do in those situations. So yeah, so thank you so much for your questions. If you've got any more, please write them in the comments or send them through, and I'll answer them in my next video blog. So thanks again, and I'll catch you later. Okay, bye.